one of the things that I believe is, I think it's cloud kitchens are going to fight for the space of the weekday meals also.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the dining. And now suddenly the pandemic has kind of got you used to so much different types of cuisine, not just what you were cooking at home, right?
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Inspired with Derek. Today we have Mr. Ramchander with us. He's the CEO of Mukunda Foods. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for the opportunity and looking forward to a great conversation.
Absolutely, sir. So before we start, I'm sure that a lot of people don't know about I would say what Mukunda Food does. So if you could just give us a brief introduction as to what Mukunda Foods is all about for people to understand.
Sure. So Mukunda Foods has been in existence for about 8-9 years, and they have been making kitchen automated equipment. There was a need which the original founders, that was Ishwar and Sudeep, realized that as any restaurant has to scale up, everything is manpower intensive, and which has been the kind of the backbone for the restaurant industry. But also, as now restaurants have been seeing, the manpower is one of the drawbacks. So they had this idea and thought process to automate, and they started up with the Dosamatic, which was the first of its kind, making automated machine for dosa making.
Yeah.
It removes the skill sets of a dosa guy, which requires a special skill set. And so we start off with that, and then over the last few years, they've been able to keep evolving and kind of find newer, other equipment that can be used in the different cuisines, whether the Indian, Chinese. And so now there is a portfolio of about 9 or 10 equipment that that the company has developed, and it's been sold to across India and beyond India to many restaurants, QSRs, large brands, small brands. And so that's been the brief history of why and what Mukunda is all about, is basically into the last mile kitchen automated equipment rather than the assembling line which has been existence before, like in plants where they're making bulk quantities. But nobody really has gone into the Indian or ethnic cuisine in the last mile restaurant business. So this is the first of its kind.
Understood. So from what I understand, it's very different to like you said, automation on an assembly line. Let's say someone is manufacturing food items like chips. That is a different kind of automation, whereas this is in a kitchen, more so, like you said, making dosas or various other food items.
The last mile, so it will be used in restaurants, QSRs, cloud kitchens, on order. How do you automate that? Because that has been entirely manpower, human intervention. There are RTC and RTE products that people make in plants, whether it be chips, any kind of snacks, even large quantities of frozen items. But this is truly the last mile, which requires that last minute touch to bring the freshness. This is a unique, first of its kind, making that last mile as much automated as possible.
Understood. So for a lot of people who don't probably understand what QSR is, if you could just give us a understanding. I understand quick service restaurants, but if you can just give us a brief idea to what QSR actually means from that standpoint.
So I mean, any restaurants, there of course, you want to go out, there are different types of restaurants. There is the 5-star of the restaurant, and there is a fine dining, very similar, but it's standalone restaurants. QSR, again, it kind of started off with a lot of these, restaurants from the US and UK, standing for quick, quick selves, quick and, ready to eat products, which is ready made there. So that started becoming popular in India, back after McDonald's and KFC and all such brands came in, and now there are a lot of Indian brands also in that space, be it any kind of North Indian, South Indian. You can say all the South Indian traditional A to Bs and all that. They are also in the QSR segment, and there are a lot of Chinese also, I mean, so-called Indo-Chinese. There are many such brands, large, small, everybody entering into this market. Basically, it is on order. It's quickly served, and it's not for the ambience. The fine dining. You have a leisurely meal for 1.5 hours, 2 hours. You not only enjoy the food, but also the service, the ambience, and the aroma and all that stuff. Yeah. So this became more and more. I mean, India traditionally has been, everybody wants to enjoy the food, but over the last decade or so, it has slowly moved on to that, where people want to have a good food, and then when it's done, they move on to other things. So uh, there has been with the onflow of all these American brands. We have also started our own, and it's thriving these days, where nobody has the time or the patience to sit through meals for over 1 or 2 hours. So
Exactly.
there's been a tremendous growth in QSR in India.
Yeah, I think that, like you rightly said, that people nowadays want to enjoy their meals but don't want to wait for it. So I think people are just in that loop where they want it fast, they want to have it and then move on beyond that also.
Correct.
So from what I understand now, sir, is that from rice to noodles to to dosa, you all have covered, I would say, the entire basic building blocks of the dining experience. Now, how does all this come together? Like when you talk about automation in the kitchen, how does all this come together? What are the kind of, I would say, space required? When you talk about a cloud kitchen, I would say a few years back, not a lot of people visualized or saw cloud kitchens happening. But today we're in a space where, with the advent of internet, Swiggy, Zomato, people are moving to a cloud kitchen. So in terms of a business which is not using automation to a business which is using automation, what is, I would say, the difference in terms of manpower, productivity? If you could just highlight on, I would say, the benefits of having automation in the kitchen, because not a lot of people are very comfortable with still using automation. So what is it that changes once people start using automation in their cloud kitchen or kitchen for that matter?
Most definitely. So a great question, right? I mean, this is what pretty much all food brand owners want to ask. I mean, they think, is there like what is the benefit? I mean, of course, there are some worries. Will it remove, of course, the cutting of manpower? But there are many benefits out of it, right? So one is any process that is kind of run entirely on human intervention, right? While it is all based on the person can make incredible food, but day in and day out repetition of it of order after order, that's the element that is not consistent. So a recipe created by the best master chef for any brand or a hotel or a restaurant is created. It's all documented, but on order, however busy it is, whether it's slow or busy, the chef has to start from every product, or the person cooking the order has to start from scratch, and he has to follow certain process and protocols. A lot of times there could be mistakes made, some things gone wrong, overburned, because the person has to be focused on it. So that is one of the critical elements, right? And so that is the biggest advantage. One big advantage of automation is where the same recipes developed by a master chef, and then we do trials. So we not only the chef, whoever the brand you're working with, he makes the food on the way he would typically make in a wok or on a tawa, and then that same recipe is then simulated on the machine. Until that has been signed off by the master chef or the brand chef, we do trials. Once it's done, then that recipe is locked in any of these equipment that we're using, especially a wok key. So once that original is documented, then on order, the steps are mentioned there. It's on an Android tab. The process is shared, and then the operator. Now you don't need. So the second benefit is the cost of manpower. While it will, the number of bodies, the type of bodies is very different. in a typical restaurant, which is the traditional way, you need chefs or people trained in cooking, and that will lead to a cost factor, right? So now we just need kitchen operators with very minimal culinary skills who just have to operate it, seeing the recipe. Sure, they have to be trained in what are the different, they have to do a lot of prep work in the beginning. So, but then your cost comes down drastically. The recipes, once it's keyed in, it doesn't change. So if your chef doesn't come to work one day, you can see in restaurant whether one chef has left, you can see that immediately the taste profile changes. So that is removed to a large extent. Space is also, you need to, there is no wastage of space. You know how much of space is required for this equipment. You design your layout accordingly. So there is a maximum usage of space. There is all the spaces, optimally leveraged. It leads to a lot of less wastage, because we are now dealing with much more processed protocols. There is not much scratch cooking, cutting, chopping, fresh ingredients, spoilage. So it is all processed ingredients prep work before the beginning of the shift. And on order, it's a 5 or 6 step process. The food is made, packed, and served. So this is good not just for cloud kitchens, but for typically any restaurant, which is also as a dining thing. So it is not just for thing, but now cloud kitchens is the flavor of the month or the year. So it also helps people scale up faster. The training again required. If you have to open a new outlet, you have to train, and that takes an incredible amount of time, because you have to do numerous trials. First of all, hiring people and then training them, that requires 30 to 45 days. So that part is eliminated. Once you set the first time when you set those recipes on these machines, then the duplication at another outlet or another location becomes that much more faster and easier. Any new products, again, you don't have to reinvent. Once a recipe is locked in by the brand chef, it's locked in, and then the process is almost similar. So adding new items is not complicated. So these are some of the distinct advantages that automation brings in, which was not there before.
Absolutely. I think the overall, as a business owner, like being a business owner myself, not from I would say hospitality or a restaurant standpoint, but since the 3D printing company we have also, our whole point is like, how can we give a repeatable experience to our customer, irrespective of who he coordinates or communicates within the team. So, I mean, that requires from our perspective, a lot of training within our team to help people understand that. Now, from a restaurant perspective, the taste is something is the experience which you're trying to replicate. So I think with this machine, with these machinery, it's able to do that. So from what I understand, is it sort of a system where it picks up the recipe, it knows the entire process of how to do it, and then that code or that recipe is just can be parallelly run on as many machines needed, and the I would say repeatability would still be the same across even, let's say, 100 of them?
Yeah, it can. So once it's all on a cloud server, right? So once the recipes are locked in, I can run the same recipes in how many ever machines. So if it's not in one outlet or 100 kitchens, so again, say you are an owner of a 50 outlets and they're all in, so that's the other model we're talking about. This is our kitchen as a service, where we open the kitchens and we have multiple locations, or whether the food brands outlets, he has these machines in about 50 or 100 outlets. He doesn't have to train in each outlet. He can download it from one point of location. It is the recipes are downloaded onto the server, and it is available in any of his machines in his outlets, or in the cloud kitchen, the kitchen as a service model also. So that's another big point where, again, if you have to launch, you have to go to individual outlet. The training has to happen in all those outlets, and then you never know what the outcome of that will be, right? Because it all is so manpower related. Some people are fast learners, some people don't, some people make mistakes. So when you launch a new product, the experience has to be the same across every single outlet. Absolutely.
And I think from what I understand is that you all have helped simplify the process of starting your own cloud kitchen so much that I would say from my limited perspective of the industry also, from what I understand now is that if someone wants to start a cloud kitchen and if they have, let's say, a few items, they can start with that, with, let's say, a piece of machine and basically machinery, start that out, grow it out with a limited menu for that matter. Once that starts off, scale it to, let's say, different cities with the same menu. And I think from the main problem that I see all solving is the scaling and repeatability problem over different cities and different countries, wherever the machines are placed. I think that confidence which y'all are able to give a cloud kitchen owner is very valuable.
Absolutely. Whether he's we have gone to the next level also, right? And whether it's a brand who's fully developed and he's got 10 or 12 outlets, and he's whether he wants to automate his current kitchens or move to new kitchens, this kitchens will this equipment will certainly help. But also we are also selling this product which already inbuilt recipes. Just like you buy a coffee machine, there are some key recipes there you can make, cappuccino, frappuccino, whatever. So like that, even for somebody who has the passion to start a brand, like say Chinese, you know what, I really don't understand. Somehow I want a passion, or I have an opportunity. I know somebody, and there is a need for any particular type of thing. So we also load in these recipes. We also give information on how to where to get these key ingredients. So it's almost like a one-stop solution. All you need is to get the equipment, inbuilt recipes. You don't need a master chef. You just need an operator. You just need to buy those local ingredients like vegetables, rice, noodles. The process is simple, and then you're in business in about 15-20 days. You have a Indian or a Chinese restaurant. So we have gone to that level of developing for somebody who doesn't have the ability to even have a well-defined recipe.
Understood. And sir, what is like the differentiation or the differentiating factor that y'all have as compared to the competition? Like, what are y'all trying to do differently, or how are y'all trying to position yourselves in another way?
You mean in the equipment business or
overall? I would say equipment and a brand. I'm sure there is some competition which is there in your current space. So how are you all trying to set apart from that?
So there is, there is minimal. There are larger equipment that has been there for large hotels and backend. But this for QSR last miles, made for this. There is very, it's still brand new and not too many people out there. So we are definitely at the first movers advantage. And that's why from moving from the equipment, we are also now starting to develop our kitchen as a service model, where we so if you already have a food brand, but you have a choice whether to buy the equipment or to just utilize the service, just like the software, right? And so that is the model that we are now trying to promote, which is the kitchen as a service model, where you don't even have, if you're a brand owner, right? We have 3 outlets, and one choice is you buy the equipment. 2, you can just access all the equipment in our portfolio in a location that we have fully developed, and so you just have to provide the raw materials, and you're able to start and add another outlet to your brand. So the 4th and 5th and 6th location is just even more easier. You will get all the the accessibility to all the equipment, and you don't even have to worry about buying it. Now it's and we the operating the entire operation is done by us, the Nucleus Kitchens. So you don't have to worry about that. You just have to, if you're a passionate brand owner, and there is a reason why you would have developed certain food product. All we ask you to do is you create the demand and do the promotion, and you're in business, and then you just have to worry about done. The remaining part is it's in our hands.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Now I fully understood. Like when people talk about SaaS or software as a service, y'all are coming up with, I don't know, I mean, I could call it KAAS, KAAS, which is like kitchen as a service, and y'all are like in my opinion, from what I can see, is like completely revolutionizing the industry. Like if I have a brand, I can scale with y'all are helping brands scale much faster in that perspective.
Absolutely. If you see, and that's why I mean, see, we would like to have. I mean, the passion is with all our skills and culinary skills and team. Uh, Everybody opens up a brand, right? The problem is there is no entry barriers to in the food business. Anybody and everybody can open up a restaurant. The fundamental problem is the maintaining it, running it for years, and then scaling up. I mean, food business you have to scale up. So there are different models, like in kitchen as a service as evolved also. There are people who just give you the space, kitchen or equipment or even manpower. What we do is much more evolved. We have the kitchen, the manpower, and this equipment, which means that gives you the certainty of the consistency of these products. And so once your recipes are locked in, if you have an aim for, say you have just established 3 or 4 years now, and you're at your fifth and sixth outlet. Next year, you know, in your organic way, you would have said, okay, let me go to 3 more outlets. But in our KAAS model, we will say, hey, how about looking at 40 outlets? That just blows your mind, right? Wait a minute, how do I do 40? You leave it up to us. Your recipes, you have to create the demand. And if you were thinking, oh, I'll just be in Bangalore, I'll just be in Mumbai, I'll say, no, what about South India? What about India? What about beyond India? So the aim is, with our expertise, can we have a brand that is wholly, developed and grown in India, and then we move to other countries? I mean, how about an Indian brand going outside? We are we are very good to our guests, right? We welcome all brands here. Well, it's time we started exporting homegrown brands to beyond India, even to the extent of, how about a Chinese brand in China?
Yeah.
And this model can help. If somebody has a vision, this model can help them.
No, absolutely. I think that the whole concept of having a partner to scale, a lot of people have that problem. Like, okay, how do I scale? Where do I get the manpower? Like you rightly said, there is no barrier to entry. And that in itself is a barrier, because not a lot of people understand that, okay, I can start a brand, I can get into it, but can I really scale it? Then the barrier is that, okay, everyone can start, but not everyone can scale. Then that becomes a barrier, the understanding of that industry.
Absolutely. And so the passionate brands, right? They end up doing is they're running around doing everything because they're so passionate about it. So this allows them to still concentrate on that passion, on that menu and demand, and who are the people they have to do, and keep running them. Whereas we bring in the expertise, we have the equipment, we know the the back end. So help us, help you to grow at a faster pace, because that is what we have to do to be successful these days.
Absolutely. And I'm sure, sir, you might be getting this question a lot, but I'll still ask you that a lot of people who might come to you, they'll be like, okay, does a machine-made dosa and a man-made dosa, like, what is the difference in taste? Is there something, I'm sure a lot of people would be probably having this mental block or a fear in their mind that will it still taste the same? What is your perspective on that?
Absolutely, possibly zero difference.
Yeah.
Nothing. You will not even know. I mean, our kitchens are live, our products have been made by food brands. There is nobody who has said, oh, this is made by a machine. Nobody even knows about it. And so that is a part of it. So we don't advertise. I mean, so the food brands, when they're buying the equipment, they are not saying, oh, this food is going to be made. I mean, there is no difference. So same thing when we are doing in the kitchen as a service, we are just helping that brand. Now he might have 3-4 outlets which is made by human beings, and this is by machine. There is no difference to it, and that is not the point. I mean, I don't know if any customer is going to be happy or unhappy about who makes it. The critical is the taste. If there is no difference in the taste, it doesn't matter where it's coming from or who is making it. Sorry.
Understood. And so now coming to, I've completely understood what you all are doing and where you all are headed. Just wanted to understand that prior to this, while doing some research, I came across that you've been in this industry since probably 1989 to 1990. and you worked with multiple different organizations. And your most recent was working with CCD. So just wanted to understand that you were the president of CCD about for tenure of about 5 years. So, and also you were working with international brands, you were outside of India. So what experience have you, I would say, brought in from those, I would say, different environments, and use that into what you're doing right now? So what is it? What is the learning that you have inculcated into what you're currently doing? A few key learnings.
So yeah, so there have been many aspects. I don't know if I can explain, all the different learnings I've had. But one thing, and I keep telling, is a lot of people write a book on how to do something, right? After they've been in industry for 10, 15 years, 20 years, what to do to start a new business. What definitely I can write it, what not to do when you're running your business. I mean, those are some things that, whether be in my, my career in hotels, definitely at CCD. There were a lot of things we were doing, many innovations that I was handling the food and beverage portfolio, which is the innovations for product, supply chain, quality. There were a lot of things we tried, and we were so much ahead of our times. Like we started delivery way back, before it became, the mantra or the slogan. And so a lot of learnings we did, a lot of mistakes. So it was a great learning platform because, that's one of the things, being one of the biggest retail companies, right? We have the freedom, but also the need to be on the cutting edge of trying to be on the innovation. We should be the first ones to launch something. So there have been definitely so many learnings and unlearnings. We definitely, when I got this opportunity to work, and CCD, I was there for about 13 years, right? So with all my past experience, I want to develop something that I can always say when something is there, what are the things that's going wrong there? That's your, it's a human tendency, right? When you're trying to nitpick it. If you go to a restaurant, you're trying to nitpick and say, while it's a great meal, fine, but you're always trying to find, oh, that didn't happen, that person was there, or this person. So you're always trying to. So I felt like with all this experience, the easiest thing would have been to open another, food brand. And there are thousands of food brands, but I want to see how do I make an impactful change, right? Leave something bigger than that.
Yeah.
Because that thought did not come in one day, but that the idea or the passion was there. And so the timing and the place was perfect when I said, here is something with all the information, background, skills, talent, and this equipment, we can help brands to do less mistakes. And so they are then free to concentrate what they are supposed to be doing, which is they know about the brand, they know how to promote, how to market it, how to create the demand, whereas leave all these other things. So it's a perfect synergies, right? So it's not like each one doing the same thing over and over again and running around trying to, do for just for them. So how do we collectively help this? And so, as I said, there are many things I've learned should not be done. It's easy to say that, of course we end up doing the same things, but one of the things when I started this model was how not to repeat those, and then help these passionate food brands to grow.
Wow, absolutely. I think that from seeing your story as an outsider, I can see that all the years of experience that you had has now come into fruition with the company that you are part of now. And I would say that with not only have you adopted technology and you're keeping up with the times and you're pushing technology and automation, you all are also helping as a company anyone out there who's trying to build a brand in the space scale and help them understand what not to do, and on the other side, and with what to do and how to do. So I think there are you all are covering the overall, I would say, the going full circle in terms of what a food brand would need to really grow and scale in the 21st century. What you mentioned about how people need to use equipment or treat them as your friends, not your enemies, and like realize that your input is going to be their output. So you need to focus on mastering your input further and improving that,
Exactly.
like focusing on increasing the quality of your input, because you have someone to do the melancholic or the repeated task for you. So I think that is a mental barrier which I think will change over time. People will realize that over time, and that is how people will overcome that and adapt it faster.
You cannot re-emphasize, because in a traditional setup, right? If you buy, I mean, the tomatoes are a little ripe or raw or whatever, right? You always relied on the chef to overcome some of those issues. Okay, instead of this ingredient, you got something else. He will do something, so you always had that. Now this is where when the rubber meets the road, they say, right? This is when your recipes have to be so perfect, because anything gone wrong, the machine will just do what it has been programmed to, and output will be there. And now then you can't be scratching there and say the machine is doing it incorrectly.
Mm.
So that's why if there are any loopholes, gaps in recipes, this will glaringly bring it out. A lot of times, people have, I mean, we've seen in bigger brands also, there are, they say we have a recipe, it's all coded, it's all, but a lot of times they're not perfect, or they are not, scientifically done. And so what happens is the chefs who are making it, they're always the backup for it. They're always making up for it. There are no scientific measuring. They just through their eyes, they measure things. And so they're always able to do that. But now the machine will not, you have to exactly measure and do the cooking. So if that goes wrong, you can't just blame. So that's why there is definitely a huge role for chefs in whatever level, from a junior to a senior, an executive chef, brand chef, master chef. There is definitely a role they play, and maybe they have to do a lot more strategically, realign their whole thought process, so that when these brands, hopefully that's the aim of us, that these brands grow bigger and bigger. Definitely their level of attention will get diverted from a unit level to a more larger macro level.
No, absolutely. And I think that this today we are talking about the recipe being very perfect. Probably, let's say 5 years, 10 years down the line, the machine would probably be able to accommodate for, let's say, the soup is little thin. Those basic examples which you gave, which seem so natural to us as human beings, that okay, if this is the issue, then let me just fix it. There's a quick fix always, which experienced chefs can do. But like you said, the machine has to really have that process bang on. Like it has to be step by step. So over time, let's say 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, we might also see machines, and like you said, AI, which could automatically adapt the recipe, which I find extremely cool that the technology will head there also.
It's just a matter of time. I mean, there are some advanced models which is
Yeah.
mainly for in-house consumption, at these residences you find, but so there is, to adapt it to a QSR model where the range of cuisines will be much more, or even say in our setup, in our Nucleus Kitchens, I mean, in one particular location we do 6 or 7 brands. So how do we adapt that with arms and measured quantities? Can it do for 6, 7 brands? That's a challenge we're working on. So where will that lead to? Will that be automated? All that. So it's all in evolution. This is such a green area. It just started. I mean, while computers have been there, but in this industry, it has just started, and I'm sure food business is only going to grow. Already, it's whatever. 75,000, 80,000 crores worth of food business. But I think habits are going to change. People are still going to eat. Not dining in. They will do a lot more of ordering at home. And so there will be actually coexistence of both dining out and but maybe people will. I mean, one of the things that I believe is, I think it's cloud kitchens are going to fight for the space of the weekday meals also.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the dining. And now suddenly the pandemic has kind of got you used to so much different types of cuisines, not just what you were cooking at home, right? People will find less and less time to cook. So during the week, during lunch, during dinner, breakfast, it'll start, this cloud kitchens and delivery will start entering into your life.
I think that the direction that you all are headed in terms of accelerating the speed at which we can cook while maintaining the taste and nutrients, that is a very, very large space, I would say, with people expecting so much already, like within the next 10 minutes I need my food. And once that becomes a reality, people don't want to settle for even 11 minutes or 12 minutes because they're so used to that food in 10 minutes.
Yes, but see, I don't know if every time somebody will want it all the time in 10 minutes. It's like the groceries also, right? I mean, you'll have to prepare yourself to the once a month or once in 2 weeks shopping, and then there is something you forget. That's when so same thing over here. I don't know, and that's the other part. Everybody says, oh, if once you're done 10 minutes, tomorrow it'll become 5 minutes. I don't know. There will be a certain niche or a certain in a certain bandwidth this will operate. I mean, it will, again, not everything will be available in the 10 minutes. You also will not order a big meal for 10 people. It will be based on one person's needs, what he's doing. So they will all have their unique requirements. I don't think suddenly everybody is going to be, if everybody start delivering 10 minutes, then I mean, either traffic will go bad or there'll be accidents, or there'll be a lot of other things. So I think there has to be a quick mix of things, how it works out.
Correct. Absolutely. So the kitchen as a service model is something that really got my attention. In terms of equipment and kitchen as a service, I believe that the company is providing these two services. Like someone can buy equipment or someone can take kitchen as a service. Now, traditionally, people have been doing SaaS, software as a service, but now you all have come in with kitchen as a service, which means that you all help companies set up a kitchen and really grow that out. Is that understanding correct?
Yes, and so let me just try to just give you a little more details. So one was, you have your own kitchens, and then you can buy equipment and all that. But over time, right, when and in the food business grown and evolved across the world, KAAS model, kitchen as a service model, has started coming up in the last few years, and there are many models there, from just people just renting out kitchen space, equipment, and some even go to the extent of manpower and all that. So basically, you go there and take a smaller place in a larger setup, and you start operating. We thought there was a great opportunity here in this space where we now make our entire portfolio of automated equipment available to a brand at pretty much no cost. He doesn't have to buy. He doesn't have to have a kitchen. He doesn't have to have the manpower. So that's the model we work on, and this model that we have is under the name of Nucleus Kitchens. So where we take up space, we fully set it up with the equipment of our own equipment, plus the regular tables, tables and working tables, freezers, chillers, storage racks. So as a brand, you just have to come in and sign up with us and say, okay, I'm interested in taking this to more locations. One of them will be in your location. It signs in. We do the trials. We onboard your recipes, and you're in business. You have to just provide us the raw materials, and we convert them, and the orders come in from the customer through the regular software, the POS terminals into the kitchen. We process the food, and it's handed to the pickup person. So you don't have to go and find a kitchen space or pay rentals or advance, training, manpower, spend money on the different equipment that you need. We removed all those steps away. If you're entering into business, or if you have passion, if you have a great model and you're trying to figure out how to scale it, we have the way, and we can go into in the same city as you are, or we can also go to any city. I mean, we have large ambitions. We want to, we have plans to scale up to about 100 kitchens the next 18 to 24 months. So
Hmm.
we'll be a pan India. So if you want to grow, and I mean, you may not have to come into all the other 100 outlets, but if you have 20, 30, so today we have 4 or 5, suddenly you can grow to 30, 40 without much expense from your end, but be it money, time. You just focus on the demand generation and leave the rest to us.
That's I would say very different model and very keeping up in times with what currently is the trend, like going an asset light model. So what you just said is that you all will help from finding the space to setting up the equipment, setting up the recipes, setting up the space, running the entire operations on the brand's behalf.
Yes. So we will have a space where we can probably have 6 to 7 brands.
Understood.
So it's not occupied, and so that's what gives me the economies of scale, right? So that I am now utilizing space for multiple brands, and that's what brings the efficiencies in everything, whether it be in the rental, the manpower, the equipment usage. So it's not like only some equipment are getting used. So that's all. That's the way I try to maximize the utilization of the space. Whereas as a brand for you, nobody, it's just another location for you. Say, if you want to be in a key location in Bangalore, rentals are high. Gee, how do you want? But you need to be there. So if we have a kitchen, or we can go and develop a kitchen, and then you just have to, you're already there without having to go through the entire process, finding place, rentals, and all that stuff. You're just on in about 15, 20 days.
Wow. So I mean, from like one location, you're able to service like 5 to 6 customers, and those 5 to 6 customers now have a new location without having to have any assets invested in, because you all are taking up that responsibility.
Yes. So if you had, like, say, if you have 3 outlets in 3 locations, and you want to go to another 6 more micro markets in the same city, our model can reach faster. While we are not there in all those locations yet, but today, in the next month, we'll be into 4 locations, right? And then in the next 2 years, we'll be about over 100 locations. So you can then grow with us at that fast pace. So if you are thinking of, and I said previously also, if you were only thinking of, let me expand to 5 outlets, suddenly I say, hey, how about expand to 40 outlets? And for almost the same amount of money and manpower and all that. I mean, of course, you will say yes.
Absolutely. So, I mean, let's consider that I was a business owner from a food, or I would say I had a food brand. Now, if I had to start a new restaurant or a new location, even if it was a cloud kitchen, let's say an average investment of, I mean, you can correct me if I go wrong here, but an average investment of, hypothetically speaking, 5 lakh rupees is what I need to set up one new place. Instead of that, I can reach out to someone like you and help, let's say in the same capital, increase my presence in probably 4 to 5 locations, rather than investing all my capital in one location. With Nucleus, I can probably spread it out further.
Absolutely. I mean, so I would say 5 lakhs roughly, if it's a good size brand, location, and based on the price, you just say about 15 to 20 lakhs, right? You're absolutely right. Instead of spending on one, for that money and the time to even onboard one, you can say in the same amount of time, you can say, if provided we have those locations, you can say easily add 5, 6, or 7. And the lesser amount of time and much less headaches.
Understood. And sir, keeping this in mind now, what are the other brands that you probably, I would say, work with right now, for someone to get an idea? Like, what are the use cases of something like this, since you said you already have your brands on board?
So we have already onboarded a few of the local brands from Bangalore. So Auntie Funk's, we have Biggie's Burger. Then we also have brands from outside, from other cities like Maharaja Chap, Meraki. We also have Mad Momos. And there are about at least 8 or 10 in the pipeline. So there is so much of interest.
How much time does this take from a time standpoint? Like you mentioned, it takes 4 to 5 months for me to, let's say, go and set up something on my own. As opposed to that, if I had to just compare time of me setting it up versus me dialing your number and telling you that, okay, this is something I want to do, what is the time required to set up a kitchen?
It is far lesser. It can be anything between say about 25 days to about 45 days.
Okay.
We know what all the things we have to do. There is one, which is fact of life is each brand, how long it takes for them to get onboarded in their platform aggregators, which is a larger issue. But otherwise, I'd say anything between 25 to 45 days is all it takes. Mostly for the first one. Now, once they've signed in and they're already here, I'd say next, now we are into a second and third location. And if they say, yes, there's an interview, we sign that up. That'll take only 15 days to go to the second and third or the fourth. Once we have the kitchen ready, that onboarding actually is much less. It'll take in a few days because everything is in place, right? There is not much of training. As long as the brand wants to come to that location that we have signed on, there is space availability. The second and third duplication is hardly, few days.
Oh, wow. So, it's just an initial phase of, let's say, 1 month, 30 days to 30 to 45 days. And then post that, it could probably be a week that you can start expanding in different locations.
Yes. And the first point is basically, I've given the most output. It can happen in a less than a month also. But the first thing is because them understanding what it is, how their apprehension, they will come and see the product, how it works. Then they are really they buy into it. And then the whole the trials start. We have to simulate all the recipes through our machines. There will be a lot of learning on the job, fine tuning. So that takes some time, and we have team for that. But if they are from outside Bangalore, then we all based on their time and travel, all that. So that is. But basically, what we're doing is we are setting that up for many kitchens. It's not just for one location. So that part of the process is done. But once we have done that, then the expansion to other outlets is very, very easy process.
So thank you so much for this conversation. I think that we have discussed everything from kitchens to where the industry is headed to what you all are trying to do. And I just like to say thank you for this. Thank you for your time and giving me, I would say, a brief tour of the QSR industry. So thank you so much for that.
No, I want to thank you, Davik, for this opportunity. And yes, it was exciting to kind of reconnect and kind of go over some of the learnings that I've had and to share. And I think we are into some interesting times. Where food, a good blend of food and technology. That's the last dominating technology had not entered in, at least in the frontline space. It is there. It's happening. It's everywhere. And I think at the end of the day, the customer is going to be a great, the beneficiary of all this. You, me, and everybody are going to be the beneficiaries, whether it is newer and newer cuisines that you have never heard of that become available at literally at a delivery store near you, faster, so don't have to go hungry, and newer thinking. So I think we are in for some really great opportunities and exciting times. So and I hope whoever listens to this, they also can say, yeah, you know what, I had some thought and idea about doing something. These are the things. So hopefully they don't have to keep close their their thoughts or ambitions about entering the food business or scaling up food business, because I think we have reached a point where we can definitely help passion food brands to grow.